Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome to part 0 of my F1 Manager 2022 career mode. Now, the full game obviously comes out next week, 25th of August, but this is a short video just to kind of set up and tee up that first ever career mode on this brand new, fully licensed manager game for Formula 1. So, obviously, we know we can pick from the 10 teams available on the real life grid. You can't make your own team or anything like that. Maybe in the future that will be a thing, but we have to choose one of the 10 existing teams, and they're all going to have their different challenges. You know, if you pick a top 3 team, you're going to have to, be in a spending war with the cost cap, trying to sign the best drivers, keep on top of everything, and fighting your rivals. Midfield, you're trying to either bridge the gap up to the top 3, or you're trying to not be, slipping down into the bottom 3. And then the bottom 3 teams, I guess you're trying to, just build up your factories, your facilities, trying to get the right personnel staff. And it's a bit more of a long-term project, a bit more of a grind, but I feel like midfield, from what I've seen in this game, will equally be a challenge compared to the top 3 teams, because they all have the different kind of caveats of what's going to be coming up, what's going to be a stumbling block, and what's going to be a hurdle in this game. So, I want to get a feel out to you guys about what team you potentially want me to start this game on and start the very first career mode on. So these are obviously the 10 teams that we can pick from, but the vote I'm going to give you guys today, very much like almost my the normal F1 game part 0, kind of giving you a vote, getting you involved as my kind of, basically board of directors in a way, get involved in the series. I'm going to give you a vote on these 3 options. So the 3 options are choosing a top 3 team, choosing a midfield team, or a bottom 3 team. Now, the reason why I'm doing it this way is I also want my own kind of, my own opinion factored into the vote of what team I would like to pick. So, I want you guys to give me the region of the grid, basically, that I'm looking at, and then it'll be my own kind of personal preference of what I feel like, getting the vibe of what I would enjoy doing, and also just kind of feeling the vibe out of, also, I know there's plenty of other creators that'll be doing first-time career modes. I want to try and hopefully avoid having the same team as someone else that I know well. So, obviously, top 3 teams are going to be Ferrari, Mercedes, and Red Bull. Like I said, they're all going to have their different challenges, trying to keep up with spending whilst in the cost gap. It'll be more about refurbishing HQ facilities, hiring the right staff. The AI rivals, our AI counterparts, may nick staff from our team, so that's going to be something we need to look into. And then also, obviously, aging drivers. How do you develop young talent, whatnot? Midfield is going to be McLaren, Alpine, Alfa Romeo, and Haas. I'm guessing. We don't know the final, as the game launches, what the pecking order is actually going to be like, but we base it off real life and also a bit of what we've seen in the gameplay before. I would guess it's going to be McLaren, Alfa Romeo, Alpine, and Haas. Now, within that midfield, actually, midfield is maybe the most complex thing, because within that midfield, you have very different, varying vibes and stories for the team. McLaren, it's kind of like a return to glory, used to be a top team, still trying to bridge that gap to the top. Alpine is also a direct rival, ruffling the feathers there, and they seem to have a bit more momentum as of late, a little bit with the car development, and of course it's a chance to rewrite history in terms of how the Alpine story goes, because we know in real life, obviously, Fernando Alonso is set to leave Alpine for Aston Martin. They failed to then nail down Piastri, but that can obviously all change in the game. You could rewrite history and create an alternate F1 universe of your own and of our own, so that's a bit of a different vibe. And then obviously Alfa Romeo and Haas, 2 teams that struggled in the previous era in Formula 1 and really made massive gains going to this new era with the new technical regulations. And, it's kind of a up and down scenario with Haas, I guess you could say. So maybe we'd be looking to get them consistent and build something out. Obviously, I know the vibe also would be, kind of trying to build up the American team and make the American team actually one of the best in Formula 1. And then Alfa Romeo, they have actually punched above their weight plenty of times. And, we're basically trying to maybe recreate the good feel factor from the start of the season when they started off so well. And to be fair, they just continue to chip away and be consistent. And then you've got the bottom 3 teams. You've got AlphaTauri, which, compared to previous years, they've actually really slumped in this season and probably will be in the game as well. And then you've got Aston Martin and Williams. So those 2 teams kind of both in the same similar vibe. They are hoping to make a leap up this season. They really haven't made that massive step. Aston Martin, in many ways, have gone backwards ever since they copied the Mercedes-style car from 2019 into the pandemic years. And obviously Williams, yeah, just was disappointed they didn't make that massive step. So both teams will be, arguably just trying to get into the points first and foremost, score a couple of points, be maybe some wild gambling strategies to try and do that, and it'll be a bit of a long-term project. So kind of more the traditional road to glory style career, I guess you could say, starting from the very bottom and into the top. But that's why I also want to give you guys this vote, because there might be, I might be surprised, there might be a decent majority that want to see the midfield battle, because although it's maybe not exactly zero to hero right at the bottom road to glory, it's still a road of sorts to the glory, and you're kind of halfway there, but you've got your own challenges. Being a midfield team, you actually have baggage that maybe the bottom teams don't have that you're gonna have to deal with. So there's that different little difference and caveat, and of course there's just personal preference of people might want to see me do a specific team, so you might want to vote for the midfield, or you might want to vote for the top three or the bottom, and then like I said, within that I will then kind of get a feeler of what I'm feeling myself, what I'd enjoy to do, and what would excite me basically, and then maybe also try and get a feeler for what maybe other people are doing, just so we don't have all the kind of same teams basically being chosen. Like my F122 part zeros and part zeros before of career modes, I would have maybe put some other votes out for things like, how we're going to go about recruiting drivers, staff, facilities, but because this is literally a fresh game, we don't know anything about it. Obviously we've seen trailers, we've had the one bit of preview gameplay basically, but it is really just a clean slate, unlike the Cody's games where you kind of knew mechanics, you knew certain patterns and whatnot. All of you at home, and me included, really don't know what to expect, what the best way is going to be about to go with everything. So everything else, I'm just gonna leave. I think the first couple episodes of this series next week are gonna be quite lengthy, because there's gonna be so much to actually go through, delve in, read about, actually learn, and it's gonna be a massive learning curve for all of you guys and myself. Even though I have played manager games in the past with motorsport, it's there's a little bit of pedigree, I guess, of maybe knowing, generally maybe how you could do things, but it is a completely different developer, different engine, different style of game, and license. So there's gonna be very specific things that will just be for this game that I can't transfer over from previous manager games. So that's what excites me as well. There's a lot of hype for how it looks visually speaking, but also just the game mechanics. There's gonna be a load of fresh ones that I've not experienced ever yet on other manager games in the past. So it's going to be really cool. So that is where I'm going to leave it off then. Like I said, just a short part zero, just to tee up the career mode, get a feeler about those votes, about the teams. And I guess let me know in the comments below though, about all that stuff I talked about, driver recruitment and whatever. What do you reckon though is going to be like the best way to go about it? Growing a young talent from F2 and F3. Are you going to maybe go for one of the kind of newer gen drivers, but they're already in Formula 1 or in the pool of F1 drivers, like a reserve driver like Piastri, of course, for the Alpine team when the game launches? Piastri still will be in Alpine, or will he be going for more established names? Same thing with the facilities and whatnot. What do you reckon is the first area of the car you guys will delve into? I mean, we don't know. Like, obviously in the main F1 game, we know that engine weight reduction is a big thing, but in this game, really, it might be something a little bit different. You might need to look into the actual specifics of the aero, also track to track. We already know we can look at the crib sheet and actually analyze it all. So yeah, that's why I'm really excited about it. It's gonna be a proper nerdy F1 manager game, and I think for those of you who have enjoyed that kind of content in the past from me, it's gonna be really sick to delve into it next week. So let me know in the comments. If there's no vote about it, at least sound off in the comments below what you reckon about those different areas over the game. But if you are new around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. And like I said, F1 Manager 22, it is so close. Thursday, 25th of August, it launches. Cannot wait. It's been so anticipated this whole summer, and I think it's going to be a really nice fresh breath of fresh air basically alongside the main F1 game from Codemasters and EA. But till then guys, if you have enjoyed it, hit the like button, and I will see you guys around. Goodbye.